Hello there. It is, why do I keep getting so many notifications? What the frick? I'll check those emails later on. When I get back to the dorm. It is March, 19th or 20th or something like that, I think. I don't know. Whatever day it is. And, so I just, it's a Wednesday, going back to the dorm after my, one labor hour for the day. I mean, not 1 hour for the day, the one labor hour for the afternoon of the day. And, I don't know if this only counts as a private or public video. I don't know yet. And I'm just gonna say, I recognize right now I'm probably I'm really overstressing myself. I'm really just fixating on stuff that I really don't need to, or that things are, school and work and whatnot, I've been going, well, and, I haven't had any conflicts with anyone or anything like that. I mean, overall, stuff is going well, going pretty well, but, maybe just getting overhyped about really big stuff that's maybe not the most personally relevant right now to my life, but, so I was just watching a few more videos. I try not to do as much of that in the last little bit. Instead of watching stuff on my phone during lunch, I sat and ate with a friend, so that made me feel a little better. And honestly, I'm thinking, I probably just got to do a little bit of mental detox, maybe take a break from social media for a bit. Probably need that. But, so anyways, we're talking about the whole politics thing and that, and, the whole thing of where does that I want to live, right? And, well, I said that I've been kind of stressing about that, trying to think about, that, and also had sort of big questions of, what does it mean to be of a certain nationality or to live in a certain place, or what sort of, responsibilities or things are you supposed to do or participate in all this good stuff, right? And I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just really. Maybe I'm really just mentally getting just cluttered and, just worn out. I don't even know. Wearing myself out, but, right, I feel, trying to make sure I don't get too close to what else that I have, because it's kind of a little bit personal. Oh, man, not really too loud. Right, I feel like, at least to some people, I feel like I'm a coward. I feel like I'm a coward for wanting to just, go move, live in a different place in the world, instead of living here and trying to, help fix problems that exist here and part of the solution. And, whenever myself is, a lot of it's also, out of curiosity. So a lot of it is just wanting to, explore the world a little bit more, learn some cool things, meet new people, try out different stuff, right? Just, have a lot of fun and interesting experiences, and, maybe grow as a person, right? That's definitely a very big part of it, and that's the much more positive aspect I like to focus on, right? I prefer to think about, right? But at the same time, I think that maybe I'm sorely misunderstanding or misinterpreting, or maybe I'm just making this up in my own mind. But I feel like I have little sympathy from most people, not everyone, but most people that I might talk about this kind of stuff with, to seriously consider and think, I'm gonna try to just move somewhere else. And before anyone in the comment section, this video, if this is going to be a public video, I don't know yet, but I'll see. It's like, well, oh yeah, there's problems with living anywhere else, and I mean, yes, that is true, right? And perhaps I grossly underestimate those, or frustrations I may have, or anxieties that may be induced, or whatever, right? Maybe I just seriously don't understand what I'm getting myself into, and I'm making a very irrational choice, perhaps, but or that I'm I'm super privileged. I know that. I understand there's a lot of things that I haven't had to experience, or realistically probably don't have to worry about happening to me, or maybe to my immediate family, right? Under current political circumstances, or in the next, maybe even, maybe next in a few decades, or maybe even my entire life. I don't know. Maybe I'm just seriously overhyping, overstressing what I think could realistically happen. And maybe just in this moment right now, I know that these are kind of moments like these, when I'm feeling this way, like I start really losing the sense of like what's realistic. I start just going in like panic mode, and just thinking that like just absolutely horrendous things that probably aren't going to happen are, right? And I have to get out, or move, or whatever, moving away in some form or fashion, whatever the night looks like, get away from whatever is about to blow up, whatever chaos is, or violence, or whatever's about to ensue. And I feel, honestly, I'm not proud of myself for that. I mean, I don't think I normally necessarily feel that way, but just right now, moments like these, is what I'm feeling. And I'm not proud of it. I'm ashamed of it, and I don't know, maybe I'm just being really self-critical, or just I'm just really not grounded right now. But I just I don't the hard thing is, it's like I feel like I want people to understand that, like, I care about some people that live here. Or, there's a lot of things that I like about here, and a lot of things that I will probably bring with me, good and bad and whatnot. Habits, traditions, mannerisms, etc. Fashion, whatever, music taste, food, all these good things, right? With me regardless of wherever I go, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not I'm not too upset about that right now. You know, I think that's perfectly fine. But, you know, I just, I feel, and maybe this is just the critical voice in my head saying this to me, and maybe I'm just projecting this out onto the world sometimes. This sort of non-existent, unspecific, vague group of people outside of myself that, you know, doesn't really necessarily exist, right? But like, you know, I feel like, you know, not just that other people might think or feel that, but fundamentally more that I feel that way to myself. You know, I feel like I'm responsible and that I'm just choosing to run away from it. And, you know, and I was thinking about this at least a little bit for not much of the time of this, you know, last workout where I just did, right? And I would go over that longer walk, but I do have a meeting at 3, so I'll try to keep this a little bit shorter. You know, I want to have some time to, you know, bring some stuff, get switched on, all that, but, you know, a few minutes to lay down, perhaps. Might need that. But, you know, I feel like I'm responsible, not like solely myself, because I think that's really absurd. But if I really tried thinking that way, I mean, there's no fucking way that I'm responsible for everyone, you know, at all times. I'm the only person who is, right? But sort of, well, what I mean here is more like that maybe I'm sort of forfeiting my duty or my responsibility, that I'm fundamentally letting people down by not trying to, you know, stay here and fight for them, you know, just because I want to try different things myself. I, you know, want to, you know, not be bankrupt from fucking expensive, you know, healthcare or whatever other issues I'm concerned about with here, or just personal things, you know, personal preferences. Well, don't run too close to my mouth. Turn on captions, closed captions, it might help, so you can read what I'm saying. But I know I still think that I'm going to enjoy it. I still am feeling and going to feel, you know, these sort of sense of curiosity and wanting to grow and explore. I don't think that's going away, and I don't think that by any means that me wanting to just live somewhere else is purely based out of fear, based out of, you know, sort of irrational, you know, misguided sort of mindset. But I do think it is very much a combination of these, and I've just happened to focus a lot more on the negative type, you know, as I've learned more things, you know. Because, I mean, that's real here. If I wasn't curious, if I didn't want to know what it'd be like to go to other places, or, you know, or anything like that, I wouldn't even be looking up this kind of stuff. I wouldn't even really be looking up and engaging with some of the media that I do. Now, I wouldn't be trying to think about, oh, you know, where might I want to go, or, you know, what might I like about, you know, or what sort of things I might contend with if I go to this place over another. Right? If I didn't care about these things, then I might be in a different situation. I don't know. Maybe I'm just grossly misunderstanding, because I'm simultaneously experiencing, you know, sort of curiosity, but, you know, also just a worry of just, you know, in general, do I have what it takes, or do I have what I need in order to live and thrive? Do I be able to get all the resources I need, be a part of any sort of social thing, any social things that I might, you know, feel like I would be, you know, be part of, or anything like that. I don't know. You know, and maybe I'm just misguided, because maybe everything I need or want, you know, or all my happiness, my entire life, can just be lived under just one flag. Maybe I'm just foolish. But it's like, you know, at least, you know, I care about the truth. I care. I want to know what some things are like for myself. I don't want to just take the word of someone else just saying, you know, oh, the United States is the best country in the world, and, you know, and just hearing some people constantly praise living here and never even batting an eye over anything that happens outside of our borders, or, you know, considerations of what, you know, personal values or interests or whatever might be met a little bit better. You know, if they live somewhere else, they just flat out think, nope, this is just the way that it is, and they don't question it. Or maybe a lot of people do, but then they just kind of just give up. I don't know, whatever the case might be. It's like, I gotta experience things, I gotta know stuff for myself, okay? Because I would rather know, even if I decide at the end of the day, at the end of the next 5-10 years, that, you know, I want to live here in the United States for the rest of my life, I don't want to go anywhere else, at least I want to know for certain. At least, well, I'm not saying necessarily for certain, but I want to know, I want to have experience. I want to be able to actually have something to compare it against, instead of just words on a screen, you know, or words I hear someone speak. I want to have, like, I mean, isn't that what I'm supposed to do? I'm a young person. I'm supposed to experience things. This is the perfect time and opportunity for that. And I just sometimes messages that I hear, I feel like that society says are just so contradictory, so confusing, and just make up your fucking mind. Tell me, what is it that you actually value, or that you want people to do? Do you want me to commit to something, or do you want me to explore? Make up your mind, right? You know, or alternatively, you know, you can promote both. But I don't really feel like society does that. I feel like it just says one thing, criticizes you for a thing, and then it swings to the other way. It's like, oh no, you're stupid. You should do it the other way. I'm like, what is this? Why are you gaslighting? Why are you manipulating? Not just me, but people socializing us in these ways to think this stuff. Like, why? I don't know. And you know, honestly, I'm really just, I'm probably just in over my head right now. I probably just, you know, take a break from social media, enjoy some fresh air, you know, make my mind up stuff and just try to have a life, you know, because I don't want to spend it all worrying about shit that may or may not happen. So, guess I'll see you next video.